Truth be told, the Tekken story isn't the greatest of game lores. With lore being all over the place, fan favorites being constantly disrespected, it's not the most well-crafted of worlds. But someone once told me if you can see the Tekken storyline like the many crafted feuds of professional wrestling, you can find yourself enjoying it a lot more. And honestly, that is very much so true. But if that's the case, Heihachi must be prime TNA Hogan! I've taken a week or so to think about how I viewed the Tekken 8 DLC. Unlike Chaos Reigns being $60, this is free, and it's a fun little side mode that revolves around Eddie, Lydia, and Heihachi as they explore where they were during the events of the main story mode. Eddie and Lydia's are cool, but most people, including me, are here for Heihachi. The big bad stands tall once again. And why is that? Because he can. And unfortunately, that's genuinely the plot of Tekken 8's side story for Heihachi. It's not the best of stories, and although it's fun and enjoyable to play, in a way it feels rushed and kills whatever momentum Tekken 7 and 8 had when they were building up their main narratives. It's a story that really feels like it was made solely for the fact that other video games were bringing their villains back, and while also trying to jam Heihachi into a narrative that no longer needed him. So let's discuss Heihachi, the story behind his return, the issues that come with it, and why I believe they made a mistake in bringing Heihachi in. And even if he was supposed to come back, why they made a mistake bringing Heihachi in so early. Firstly, when we meet Mr. Mishima, we meet with the Tekken monks, who I originally thought was going to be part of Heihachi's second empire that he was building in Tekken 6, but I guess that wasn't the case. Apparently now, the Mishima style isn't a family art anymore, apparently, and was learned by a bunch of monks a millennia ago, trying to keep the purity of the style alive, which is cool actually, but also kinda doesn't make sense because the style was always pure beforehand. It was only until Kazumi came along that it wasn't pure. Moving on. We learned that Heihachi has trained under them for some time, and has purified his soul and turned a new leaf. He also has no real memories to recall, as Kazuya seems to have beaten them out of him, and so he can't recall his life beforehand, just following the training of the monks to learn this ultimate technique. And then comes the most ridiculous retcon in Tekken. After finally overcoming his long family trauma and defeating the man who tormented his subconscious for years, Kazuya finally kills Heihachi with a final blow. To finish things off, like his father did him, Kazuya tossed Heihachi into an active volcano, watching as he fell to the depths, concluding their chapter of rivalry forever. So he's saved by a dude that looks like prime Ronnie Coleman. Really? I'm supposed to believe that Kazuya watched that dude fall and didn't notice the NFL linebacker run up and grab him? And I'm being serious, the monk that caught him, Siryu, is huge! Whoa! Like, I don't like using the term ass pull a lot because sometimes there'll be a decent reason, although be it shocking, but this is a genuine ass pull. And you can't even bring up Akuma for this because Kazuya made you to stare at Heihachi while he burned before Akuma even decided to show up and say, listen, I can go on and on about complaining about this retcon, but I need to continue forward to show you why I think this retcon doesn't work. So continuing from here, Heihachi and Siryu are training for the Star Crusher trial. What it is the hopes in which Heihachi will achieve the ultimate Mishima style technique, basically the anti-equation to the Devil Gene, making Heihachi chosen to kill Kazuya. This takes place 6 months before he takes over the world, so there's just like one teeny small problem, and that problem is Heihachi, the real Heihachi, is somewhere in the back of his mind still talking to him, constantly trying to jog his memory. So, Heihachi tries to destroy the darkness in his heart, which the monk set up a trial, and he fights the manifestations of his darker self, in which it's the Tekken 7 Heihachi still inside of him talking to him. He He succeeds in doing so and believes he vanquished his inner evils, making him one with the Mishima's style, making his moves all the more stronger. And so they believe he is ready, and some of our heroes like Lydia and Eddie are training with him, hoping that he will be the anti-equation. They also really believe that Heihachi this time will turn over a new leaf, and all the pieces are setting up for it to seem like Heihachi is going to be a good guy. The monks believe he's finally ready for the Star Crusher trial and tell him to prepare for a meteor that falls every 200 years. When he's able to catch this meteor with his technique, he will truly understand the Mishima style. What they didn't know is that would be tomorrow. At the same day as Jin and Kazuya have their final battle, Heihachi would be out meditating for the coming event. When Jin and Kazuya finish their grand spectacle in the sky, meteors come flying down and Heihachi sees this as his chance truly coming. This is the part that I think is really cool, cause it's really on brand for someone like Heihachi to do this. He sees the meteor and gets ready to use his new technique to stop it, but the technique alone isn't enough for him to stop the meteor, and out of instinct relies on headbutting the meteor, a signature of Heihachi. When he headbutts it, his memories come flooding back as the power of his headbutt is strong enough to shatter the entire meteor to pieces. Heihachi's training is complete. They forged the ultimate Mishima technique. But unfortunately for them, they reawakened the true Heihachi Mishima. When the heroes arrive, Heihachi has already laid waste to the Tekken monks, destroying everything in his wake. Realizing how incredible his new power is, he thanks them for their time and kills all of them, so the Tekken monks are no more. Shame, they seem like a cool faction, but to show he's strong, I guess they had to. Anyways, they all go on one-on-one with Heihachi, each of them failing. I found it kind of funny that Eddie was a normalish dude and in comparison got absolutely smacked by Heihachi. Nice. Lydia, in a desperate attempt, tries to give it her all but fails, and Heihachi stands tall. He announces to them that he will settle his score with Kazuya and finally stand victorious when all the pieces come in play. But at this point of the story, where does he really fit if he's saying he'll even the score when this feud has grown long past him? Now, why do I not agree with Heihachi coming back besides the terrible retcon? Think about it like this. There's a whole other side story to Tekken 8 about a lot of characters coming to terms with Heihachi this time being really gone, or of characters moving on after Heihachi. Even while dead, his influence is still felt though on those he left behind, more specifically with those actually related to Heihachi. Characters like Kuma and Reina mourn him, Reina to a point where she vows to kill Kazuya for killing her father. Although Lee wasn't too fond of his foster parent, he still wishes somewhere in his heart his father gave a damn about it, and he mocks this feeling with his bot, Heihachi. Characters like Lars, although having no real relationship with his dad, is a man that is so much like his father that he's a spitting image at times, except for the fact that Lars wants to be a better person. And most of all, Kazuya. He killed him with his own hands as he burned in that lava, and yet his influence just won't die. It infuriates him, and in a way is all the more satisfying to Heihachi that even if he couldn't beat him in battle, he still has ways of winning in his mind. All of this only happened because he really died that time, and to bring him back kind of kills whatever narrative Tekken 8 had about moving past Heihachi and in return moving past the feud of the Mishimas. To bring Heihachi back and do the same rivalry shtick again for the next 30 years between them basically soft resets their rivalry, and after 2 games of building up that this era would come to an end, it's a bit disappointing to see that the game can't move on from it. The only reason Bison works as a returning character is he isn't the main villain. He stayed genuinely having amnesia as he had to for himself discover who he really is. He only took the name Bison because so many others saw him as Bison. He didn't just have this arc for 5 minutes to remember he was this all-powerful dictator. He had a similar moment to Heihachi, but with a different result, with him basically being like, oh, okay, so I was Bison. Yeah, let's try being Bison then. He still has a long way from actually being the dictator and having that rematch with Ryu, but it doesn't kill any momentum for the narrative and doesn't instantly shun JP from being the game's main enemy. This also comes with the other problem. I believe Heihachi is back too early. This DLC could have worked maybe 2 to 3 seasons from now, but it's too early for Heihachi to come back as a character. Cause A, this death is still fresh in people's minds cause in lore this only happened recently, but also B, Heihachi was also a staple character in Tekken. To bring him back so soon and as a DLC doesn't seem like it makes sense for them. If he was always supposed to return or be back to bring back the feud, he should have been base game. Like how Heihachi, seemingly dead in Tekken 5, was a secret character if you beat the story mode 8 different times. Regardless, whether he was supposed to be here or he's only here because Bison came back, they could have executed it a little better. At the end of the day, it's all very subjective. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the Tekken storyline isn't something that you'd see a lot of people take very seriously lore-wise, because it's very silly at times, but also, when it comes to the narrative of the main Mishimas, it's very serious. Heihachi's return feels like a cheap cop-out in my personal opinion, a reason to bring a character back without him really needing to be there. The DLC, although its weird story is enjoyable, but I have a lot of issues with how they decided to run this play on him being back. And personally, I don't agree with Heihachi returning, and in return, this Mishima feud existing for the next 30 or so years.